Probably the most iconic English car has gone electric, and I tried to find out if they did a good job or not. Hello there monsters and men, ladies and people. This is the first time I drove a Mini and welcome to Recharging. A main reason to buy a Mini is the design, because well, look at it. I do not know a single person that does not like the design of the Mini. It appeals to both men and women, and that is actually very well done by the designers of Mini. To be clear though, I'm talking about this model, because well, I do know people who do not like a countryman or a clubman. What I'm also impressed with is that the designers of Mini always find a way to evolve the design, make it more modern, but still make it recognizable as a Mini. Basically the same thing Porsche does with the 911. The Mini Electric comes as standard with LED head and tail lights. A cool detail is that you can see the Union Jack here in the tail lights. You can see it better in the dark though. So a reason to buy a Mini is its design. But a reason not to buy a Mini is its space, because if I open up the boot, you will see a boot space of 211 liters, which is, well, not a whole lot. There is some space though under the boot floor to store your charge cables or to store the boot cover, so that is nice. And if you fold down the rear seats, you will get a boot space of 731 liters. As you have already seen, the Mini Electric only has 2 doors, which doesn't make it the most practical car in the world. I am still young, well, ish, so let's see how easy it is for me to get into the rear seats. The car does have frameless windows, so that is fancy. There is a handle here behind the rear seat to slide it forward, so that is pretty easy. The squeeze in is always a bit easier than the squeeze out. Lock the seat in place and I have plenty of room back here. Well, that is because the seat is in its most forward position. What happens if I squeeze myself behind the driver's seat? So yeah, the squeeze to get here was not really comfortable. Besides that, my knees are hitting the seat in front of me and my head, well, is not touching the roof, but it is very close, so this is not made for adults. There are 3 cup holders here though, but there are only 2 seats and 2 seat belts, so there's only place here for 2 children. Another reason to buy a Mini is its interior, because well, it is very mini and it has its up, but also its downsides. First of all, this is quite an expensive car, but you can see that here in the interior. I mean, the build quality is good, the quality of the materials being used are good, nothing to complain in that regard. Then there is the design, because again, very recognizable as a Mini. It is unique and there is no other car brand which has an interior design like this. Well, maybe there is one in China, I don't know. But besides that, recognizable as a Mini and very unique. What is also cool are the tumble switches here in the center console and the tumble switches up here. But to all this coolness comes a downside, because this is not a car where you get in and everything is where you expect it to be. The ergonomics are not the best. This is not an issue if you own the car, or less of an issue when you own the car, because then, well, you know where all functionality is. But even now I am still searching for some functionality sometimes. And now some things that I noticed here in the interior of the Mini. First, the windscreen, because the windscreen is quite far away and also the windscreen is quite small. And because of that, whenever I am the first one at a traffic light, to see the traffic light I really have to look like this. And then the dashboard, because also the dashboard seems quite far away. I mean, when I'm driving normally and I stretch my arm, I cannot touch the infotainment system and I can barely touch these buttons. And it would have been nice if the center console would have been a little bit more tilted towards the driver. And then the rear view mirror, because that one is also quite far away. I think this is the first car ever where I actually have to lean forward to adjust the rear view mirror. Then the infotainment system, well, since Mini is owned by BMW, it is basically BMW's iDrive. I don't think it is the most intuitive system in the world, but maybe that is because I'm used to all the big touchscreens nowadays. What is nice though is that there is a control unit here in the center console, so it is easier and safer to control the infotainment system while driving. So a reason to buy a Mini Electric is its exterior and interior design. But another big reason is the way this car drives. As I already said, this is the first time I ever drove a Mini Cooper. And by a lot of car journalists, the way this car drives is described as a go-kart feeling. So much actually that now even Mini advertises with "experience the go-kart feeling." But the thing is, I can't deny it. It is a real pleasure to drive with this car. I mean, the steering is heavy and is very direct. The suspension is perfectly balanced. Somehow they managed to make it comfortable, but if you take it through a high-speed corner, you have a lot of grip and the car stays nice and flat. It is really refined. What also helps with the handling of this car is its weight, because this Mini has a relatively small battery pack of 32.6 kilowatt hours, and 28.9 kilowatt hours of that is usable capacity. But again, that is a relatively small battery pack, so compared to other EVs, this Mini is relatively light. It weighs 1340 kilos. What helps with the driving fun is its power, because this Mini Electric has 184 horsepower and 279 Newton meters of torque. I know in EV world these are not huge numbers, but because this car is relatively light, it still does 0 to 100 in 7.3 seconds, which is still quick. And also, you have good seats, you have a very nice and thick steering wheel, there's plenty of adjustability in your seat and in your steering wheel, you sit low in the car, I mean you have a very good driving position. And all the previous things that I just said, and the fact that this is a small car, makes this car feel agile, nimble, and again, really fun to drive. The WLTP range of the Mini Electric is 234 kilometers. I did a range test, and if you want to see the full range test, click somewhere up here. But I can tell you that the Mini Electric can be efficient and that those 234 kilometers are doable. Charging wise, the Mini Electric comes standard with a 3-phase 11 kilowatt onboard charger. Then charging it from 0 to 100% will take you about 3 hours. Again, benefits of that small battery pack. Fast charging wise, it can take up a maximum of 50 kilowatts. 50 kilowatts in today's standards is not a whole lot. But because it has that small battery pack and because it has a relatively flat charging curve, charging it from 10 to 80% will take you about 30 to 35 minutes. Want the most range out of your Mini Electric? Put it in Green Plus mode or in Green mode. Do you find that a bit boring just like me? Leave it in normal mode, or if you want the most fun and all the power available to you, put it in Sport mode. Besides that, the Mini Electric has 2 regen levels. You have normal mode. In that mode, the car slows down a little bit when you lift your foot off the accelerator, and you have a 1-pedal drive mode. And that one works good actually. What I'm a little bit disappointed about is that, well, I already said it a couple of times, but this is an expensive car. I don't have blind spot monitoring, and the adaptive cruise control does not actively keep me in lane. I mean, come on, premium brands. I even looked through the option list of this car and it's not even available as far as I could see. I mean, come on. And also the car does not have support for Android Auto. Really, a new car in 2021? Okay, can you finally tell me how expensive is then? Well, here in the Netherlands, the Mini Electric starts from 35,000 euros. But the version that is standing over here will cost you 45,000 euros. Okay, if you were looking for the best value, most practical family EV, you probably weren't watching this video. Would I buy one with my own money though? Probably not. Do I understand why people, probably with more money than me, would buy one? Yes, I do. I mean, it looks great and the driving experience is hell of a lot of fun. So that was the review of the Mini Electric. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please give a like and do subscribe. Do you not want to miss a video in the future? Ring that bell. If you don't like it, please leave a comment below to see what I can improve. And then I would like to say now thank you a lot for watching, and as always, to be continued.